It's funny that you say, or that you saw kind of the unfairness, right? The rules were being uh, abused or disregarded entirely when it came to Faith Goldie's campaign. She was a Christian and an ethno-nationalist. She said that, and she made no bones about it. And of course, we can't have that. So yeah, she was shut down. And there's a guy on X. I don't know if he's with Tenant Media or True North or something like this, but his name is Wade Stotts. And he did this one rant on politics being basically about friend enemy, like politics being war by other means and being a game of friend enemy. And the left is really good at this. They understand who their friends and who their enemies are, and when they get in power, they use it for that. But on the right, since we kind of believe in the rule of law, we believe in fairness and equality and all those liberal democracy things, when we get into the power, we don't use it as a weapon as they do. And so our side will get stifled. Whereas if we get in, we think, oh, we should listen to them. Oh, we should give them a voice too. Everyone should have a voice. But that seems to be why when the left grabs the reins of power, they get so far ahead. And then when our side managed to get in, we don't really take it anywhere. We just kind of stop it where it's been. And then the next time the left takes the reins again, in media and in politics stuff, then they push the agenda even further. So I just thought it was neat that you kind of, through, I guess, a liberal arts background and more of a liberal leaning worldview, came to the conclusion you did through the means that you did. That's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I've always kind of disliked dishonesty. And when I see, like, when you see something like, when I saw something like crime happening more often, like at the time of Faith Goldie's election campaign, there had been like a record high, like shootings in Toronto. And she was the only candidate talking about that. And I was like, that's okay. Like, she kind of deserves to like have a voice. Like, crime is rising higher than ever. She's talking about this. And it's like, no, we don't want that. And then I guess on top of that, from like my liberal brainwashed mind, I'm like, she's also a young woman. Like, why wouldn't you want to hear what a young woman has to say? And, now it's kind of, clear why that is. But it's like, okay, this is totally unfair. This isn't allowed. But what you brought up is really, really important. And I think a lot of people, especially on the right, and especially who are kind of like in politics, like don't even like understand almost. Like they don't, they still have this sort of naivety that, what, if we're just more fair and more clever, we can win, and we don't have to stoop to their level. And it's like, well, they call it a bloodstream for a reason. They call it, like it's a nasty place for a reason. And like this isn't like a game of chess. This isn't like shuffleboard we're playing here. Like, this is a fight for power, and that like people are naturally going to do whatever they can, lie, cheat, steal to get. I don't think it's dishonorable. I don't think it's like, something that is morally wrong necessarily. I think it's just the nature of what politics is. It's nasty. It's dirty. It's, it's dog eat dog. It's cutthroat. And just look at the performance of the right wing, of conservatives. We're getting slaughtered. We're getting crushed. And some people are still getting like that devoured, beaten so badly. And they're like, you know what, if I'm just more honest, if I'm just more fair, if I'm just, what, let me give my benefit the enemy of the enemy. Let me give my enemy the benefit of the doubt. And it's like, well, they would never do that to you.
Yeah. That's exactly right. My friend and I, we talk about this all the time. How you can be morally right, maybe, but still be dead. Like, I was right, but you're also dead. And if we gave we'll call it the far left, you gave the communists or the socialists or the communists in liberal clothing, whatever you want to call them, their way, if you gave them power and ultimate control, they'd have you blindfolded in front of a firing squad, and all we'd be doing is sitting there being like, oh, you're a hypocrite, as they pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, you're not even being moral right now, and I'm all like righteous, and it's like, well, you have you're dead now. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I think it speaks to the good moral character that right-wing conservative people have, but I think they need to warm up to the idea that you know, it is a dark, it is sort of like it's not a pretty place to be. It's not a place where, you know, being morally right is going to necessarily like, you know what, that's icing on the cake. If you can win and also be morally right at the same time, then that's great. But it's like, if you want to you know, actually be effective in politics, you need to realize that in a way it's, you know, it's fun. Politics is like fundamentally manipulative. You're trying to manipulate the masses to do something. You're trying to like lead, and you know, to speak to the masses, it needs to be something that is not necessarily, well, I don't know. This is getting pretty abstract now, but I think in summary, when you see something that Trudeau's doing, when you see something that the left is doing, and you're like, oh man, that's so disgusting. It's so dishonest. They're being so manipulative. You might be absolutely right, but you also need to recognize what, like, they're winning, they're crushing, they're destroying us in this game of politics. And it's like, oh, well, they're just saying that so more people will support them. Yes, exactly. yeah, that's right. That's kind of the object of the game, actually, to get a like large amount of people moving in your direction. And I think that another way to kind of summarize it, another framework, is like negotiation. If you've ever had to negotiate with somebody, let's say I want to sell you something for $100. I'm like, it's $100. You only want to pay like 75 for it. Instead of you saying, hey, I'll give you 75 for it. No, you negotiate by saying, I'll give you $50 for it. You go lower. So you're kind of being dishonest, because you're like, I will actually buy that for $75. But if you say that, hey, I'll buy that for 70, then I'm like, fuck you. You're paying at least 80 for it. But like, if you are slightly dishonest and exaggerate what you want and say, no, like, I'm only going to pay you like $40 for this, and then I'll meet you halfway. And this is exactly what actually works in politics. It's not about asking for exactly what you want. It's about asking for way more than what you want and then meeting halfway. And, you know, we could probably apply this to a bunch of Trudeau-isms of what he's asked for and that what he's settled for. But like that is really how you actually move the dial, move the needle. And we'll talk about our friends at Diagolon. I think they're doing a great job of just that. I don't think it's realistic for like every person who illegally got in here to be deported. But it's like saying that you want all of that sends a very strong message. And it's like a great negotiation tactic of like, well, why can't we have that? And then now we're actually having a conversation of moving things in that direction. Right?
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to talk to you about that too, actually.